Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the Sandpoint OnStream YouTube channel where we train civil engineering students to make into the government jobs. So in today's video, we are continuing our discussion of KPTCL Assistant Engineer 2022 exam which was held 2 days back. So here complete solution and answer key will be provided for the remaining questions. One more thing I would like to say here is that you people can comment your marks below in the comment section, and we'll be giving the heart to those who have good chances of selection. So now let's begin with our session. Now the next problem that we need to discuss is question number 31, which is from the irrigation. So it is given that a crop requires total depth of water equal to 92 centimeter and the base period is given as 120 days. That means the crop will be standing for 120 days and during that duration it will be consuming the water of 92 centimeter in terms of depth. We have to calculate what is the duty. So it is a straightforward question again. You need to remember the formula. So if we remember formula, we can solve this. So we know that duty is given as 864 times of the base period divided by delta. That is the depth of water. So from here, you can substitute the values. So 864, B is given as 120 and delta is given as 92. So on solving this, we get the answer as 1126.95 and the units are hectares per cumac. So the answer for this problem will be option A, that is 1127. So basically we have rounded this value to 1127. Next problem is question number 32. A venturi meter is given to us whose converging and diverging section diameter is known. So we have diameter of 15 centimeter at section 1 and 10 centimeter at section 2. We have to calculate how much is the discharge which is passing through the pipe where this venturi meter has been placed. Another information is that P1 minus P2. The pressure difference at section 1 and section 2 is 20 kilopascal and the fluid which is flowing in the pipe, that is basically oil. So let's calculate the discharge of the oil. So we know that in order to find the discharge, we have this formula Q is equal to A1 into A2, these are the areas at section 1 and section 2, divided by under root of A1 square minus A2 square, and this has to be multiplied by under root 2GH. Now here in this problem, A1 and A2 can be easily computed because the diameters at section 1 and 2 are known to us, but this H is not given directly. Instead of that, the pressure difference has been given. So with the help of the pressure difference, first we will find the value of H. So P1 minus P2 is given as 20 kilopascal and we know that pressure can be written as rho into G into H. So from here we will obtain the value of H. So let's see how it can be done. So this 20 kilopascal I am converting into Pascal. So 20 into 10 raised to power 3 Pascal, which can be written as Newton per meter square. Density of water we know it is 1000, but here we have to write the density of the oil. So we have to multiply it by the specific gravity of oil, which is given as 0.9 in the problem. So now this becomes the density of the oil. Multiply by 9.81 multiply by H. So from here the value of H comes out to be 2.265 meter. This is the value of H. Now we can substitute the value of H in the above expression. So let's do that. So now I can write my Q value is equal to pi by 4 into D1. So D1 is the diameter at section 1, which is 15 centimeter. So we'll be putting the value in terms of meter. So 0.15 square. This is the area at section 1. Then area at section 2 is pi by 4 into 0.1 square whole divided by under root of a1 square minus a2 square. So a1 is pi by 4 into 0.15 square. So square of this value minus pi by 4 into 0.1 whole square and multiply by under root of 2gh. So 2 into 9.81 multiply by h. So h we have already determined 2.265. So on solving from here we get the value as 0.05844 meter cube per second. But the options are given to us in liter per second. So for liters we have to multiply this thing with 10 raised to power 3. So when we are going to multiply it by 10 raised to power 3, this will become 58.44 liter per second, which is our option D. So the correct answer for this particular problem is option D. Next problem, the profitability index is the ratio of. Now this is a problem from the CTM, that is construction technology and management. So profitability index is basically the ratio of the net present value to the initial investment, or we can call it as the capital cost. Next problem is 34th from the highway. Here it is asked that the lag distance is the distance traveled by the vehicle during which time. So the correct answer for this is option D. During the total reaction time, the lag distance is covered by the vehicle. So this is basically based on the PIEV theory. Next is question number 35, again from highway. So the elastic property of the bitumen is determined by which of the tests? So using the ductility test, we try to determine the elastic property of the bitumen. So option D is the correct answer over here. Next is problem number 36 from the CTM. So it is asked that the shortest possible time in the PERT analysis is. So when we are doing the analysis using the PERT, so during that time we consider various times like most expected time, probabilistic time, pessimistic time and optimistic time. So here the one which is having the least duration, that is basically the most optimistic time. So here we assume that the task or the project will be completed in the minimum time, while in the pessimistic approach it is considered that the maximum time will be taken by the project for its completion. Next is which of the following is considered to be the highest quality construction in the group of blacktop pavements. So blacktop pavements basically means bituminous pavements. So here the correct option will be option D, bituminous concrete. So here we are using both bitumen as well as concrete. So here the quality of the road that we are going to obtain will be highest in comparison to the other options. Next problem is question number 38, where we have to identify the incorrect statement. So first statement is a critical path consumes minimum resources. So this statement is true. Minimum resources are consumed by the critical path. Next is a critical path has zero float time. So this is also true. The float time is zero in case of critical path. Coming to statement C, which says that a critical path consumes maximum time. So basically this statement is incorrect. The critical path consumes the minimum time. Next is a critical path is the longest path of the project. So this is also true. So the incorrect statement is option C. So our answer will be option C in this case. Next is group index method, which we use for the flexible pavement design, comes under which category? Whether it is a theoretical method, semi-empirical method or empirical method. So it comes under the category of empirical method, where we use the physical properties of the subgrade soil. So option B is the correct answer over here for problem number 39. So next problem is from the survey, where they are asking that the spring tides are caused when. So basically spring tides are the high tides which are generally formed when the sun and the moon are in line with the earth. So option A is the correct answer for 40th problem. Next again survey. So a long steel tape has been given to us, for which the standardized pull force is 100 Newton, and the line which we are measuring, its length is 1500 meter, while on the field the pull that we have applied is 150 Newton. So how much pull correction is to be applied, that is to be calculated in this problem. So we know there is a standard formula for this. The pull correction, that is Cp, is given as P minus P naught divided by A into E, and this has to be multiplied by L. So here in this case the value of P is the force which we are applying, so that is 150 minus the standard value 100 divided by A into E multiply by the length which we are measuring. So we are measuring 1500 meter. So don't consider here the length of the tape, consider here the length of the line which we are measuring. So here on solving, this will be 150 minus 100 will be 50. So 50 divided by AE multiply by 1500. So here the answer will be option C. Next problem is the reception of the typical digital data from the satellite, and after conversion to the vector data, they are compared with the typical spectral signature of the ground objects and identified. This process is called which among the following? So here what they are saying, that we are collecting some data from the satellite and that data is getting converted into a vector data. So vector data is basically a form of storing the data. So now this data will be validated with the information which is available on the ground. So when we match the data which has been collected from the side with the ground data, such a process is called as spectral training. So option C is the correct answer in this problem. Next, 43rd problem. Here they are asking that suppose we have a irregular and curved boundary and we want to compute its area. So which among the following method will give us the best estimate? So the correct answer is Simpson's method, because in Simpson's method we assume the curved boundary. Next, 44th problem. So we are doing a photogrammetric survey. The image of the top of the hill is 90 mm from the principal point of the photograph. If the elevation of the top of the hill is 500 meter and the flying height is 5000 meter above the datum, then the relief displacement will be how much? So let's understand how to solve this kind of problem. So here we'll be taking the help of a diagram. So here you can see this is our ground level and this is our hill. The top of the hill is represented by point capital A, while the bottom is represented by A dash. So when we are taking the photograph using a plane, that is the aerial photogrammetry, the point A and A dash, they can be projected on the image. So the projected points are small a and small a dash. This O is the principal point. So here the radial distances of A dash and A from point O can be considered as R dash and R. So here you can see OA dash is R dash and OA can be taken as R. So the difference of this R and R dash, which is basically our AA dash, this is called as relief displacement. So AA dash, or I can write it as small d, this is called as relief displacement, and the formula for this is R into small h divided by capital H. So what is happening? The same hill, when we are taking the photograph from the top, it is being represented by 2 points. The top point is at a different distance from the principal point and the bottom point is at a different distance from the radial point. So the difference of this value is basically called as the relief displacement. So now let's put the values over here. So R here in this problem is given as 90 mm. You can see that 90 mm is the top of the hill in the image from the principal point. So principal point in our image was at point O. So from here the distance of the top, that means OA distance they are talking of. So this OA distance is basically R, whose value is given as 90. So I can write the value of R is 90. Now what is small h and capital H? So small h is basically the elevation of the top of the hill. So which is given to us as 500 meters. So 500 meter is the elevation of the top of the hill. So substituting here the value, and capital H is the flying height. So here in the image also you can see this is capital H. So its value is given as 5000 meter. So 5000 meter. So from here we get the answer as 9 mm. So 9 mm, that is our option B. Now next problem, in which the bearing of the lines PQ, QR, RS, ST are given and also their back bearings are given. The bearing of line QP will be back bearing of PQ, and same way for other lines as well. So here we need to identify that which of the station is affected by the local attraction. Now the method to solve such problem is that the difference of the back bearing and fore bearing, that should be equal to 180 degrees. If it is so, that means both the stations are free from the local attraction. But if it is not equal to 180, then the chances are either one of the station is affected by the local attraction or both the stations are affected by the local attraction. So here if I consider the difference of these two values, 226 degree 15 minutes and 46 degree 15 minutes. So the difference of these two comes out to be 180 degree. That means my station P and station Q, they are free from the local attraction. There won't be any effect because we are getting the value as 180 degree. So P is free as well as Q is free from local attraction. Now coming to second one. So here I have to take the difference of 108 degree 15 minutes and 286 degree and 15 minutes. So when I take the difference, this value is 178 degree. So clearly it tells us that either Q or R is affected or both are affected by the local attraction. But we know that Q is already free from local attraction. That means only R is affected due to the local attraction. Now coming to the next one for RS. So here if I take difference of these two, the difference will come out to be 181 degree. Again it is not equal to 180 degree. So from here I can say that either R or S is affected or both R and S are affected. So R already we know that it is affected by local attraction. Now there are chances S can be free also, S can be affected also. So for that we will go for the next one. So for ST we will take difference of these two. Now again the difference comes out to be 180 degree, which means that S and T, they are also not affected by the local attraction. So the only station which is affected is station R. That means my answer is option A. Next question number 46. The latitude and departure of line AB are given to us. We have to calculate what is the whole circle bearing of this line AB. So we know that if we draw the latitude and departure quadrants, so this is the positive quadrant. That means both latitude and departure will be positive. So this is plus D and plus L. If I talk about the second quadrant, where latitude will be negative but departure will be positive. Third quadrant, both will be negative, and fourth quadrant, L is positive and departure is negative. Now here it is given that our latitude is 78, means L is positive but departure is negative. So if I have to plot this line will be in the fourth quadrant somewhere here, because here L is positive and departure is negative. Now what will be the angle that we need to measure? That means they are asking us what will be this angle. This is the whole circle bearing angle. So if we see the options in this case, clearly from the options we can tell what will be the answer, because I know that here the angle is 0 degree, here angle is 90 degree, here the value is 180 and here the value is 270, and when we go back the again value becomes 360. Complete circle is 360. Now here if I consider the value of this theta, so that theta will be more than 270 and it will be less than 360. So there is only one option which falls in this criteria, that is option D. So this is more than 270 and it is less than 360. So this is our correct answer. Next problem, question number 47. Here we have to select the incorrect statement. First statement is the bricks are paid per 1000. So the rate of the brick is decided per 1000. So this statement is correct. But we have to tell the incorrect statement. So this cannot be the answer. Next is lime is paid per quintal. This statement is also correct. The brick aggregate is paid per cubic meter. This is also correct. Cement is paid per cubic meter. Now this statement is incorrect. Why it is incorrect? Because we know that whenever in market if we go to buy the cement, so we will be getting the cement as per the bag. So 50 kg bag is there, so we have to pay the amount as per the cost of the bag. So here we are not measuring it in per cubic meter. So 47, the answer will be D, because this is the incorrect statement. Next is the coefficient of curvature for a well graded sand must be. So quite simple question. So coefficient of curvature should be between 1 and 3 for the well graded sand. If our value does not falls in this category, then it will be called as a poorly graded sand. So CC value should be between 1 and 3. So answer is option B. Next problem is, in case if there is change in the price level, we have to go for the revised estimate. If the sanction estimate exceeds what percentage? So correct answer is 5%. It is a standard value which we need to remember. Next, the critical gradient of the sand deposit we have to calculate. Properties of the sand are given to us. So void ratio is given and specific gravity is given. So quite simple problem again. We need to remember formula, that is G minus 1 upon 1 plus E. So when we substitute the value, G is 2.65 minus 1 divided by 1 plus 0.5. So if we solve this, the answer comes out to be 1.1. So option C is the correct answer over here. Next problem is, we have to tell when we are doing the excavation, then in which case the measurement will be done in square meter. So the correct answer for this is surface dressing up to 15 centimeter depth. Why it is so? Because there is a clause that if the depth of excavation is less than 30 centimeter, so in such a case the measurement will be done in meter square. And the example of such excavations are like surface dressing, or if we are doing leveling work. So in leveling work also we will be doing the measurement in square meter. Next 52nd problem. B is the width of the formation, D is the height of the embankment, side slope is S is to 1. For a highway with no transverse slope, calculate the area of the cross section. So here basically we will be using the mid section method. So the name of the method is mid section method. So what we do here is, suppose this is our embankment, something like this, and here generally we calculate volume. We have to calculate the volume. So what we do, we take the middle section. So somewhere from middle I'll cut it, and I'm drawing it the middle section over here. This is my mid section. Now here the top width is B, this is given as B, the depth is D, and the slope is S is to 1. So here if I calculate, the bottom width will be how much? The bottom width will be, this portion will be B, and what about this distance? This distance will be given as S times of D. Same way here it will be S times of D. Why? Because the slope is given as S is to 1. So when we move 1 meter in Y direction, we have to move S distance in X direction. So here I am moving D distance in Y direction. So in horizontal direction I will be moving S times of D. So my top width is B, bottom width will be how much? B plus 2 times of SD. This is my bottom width. Now here we have to calculate area. So area of trapezium is given as sum of the parallel sides. So sum of parallel sides will be how much? Top width B plus 2 times of SD into distance between them. So the distance between the two parallel sides is D, and we have to consider half. So here it will become half into 2B plus 2SD, 2B plus 2SD multiplied by D. 2 can be taken as common, which will cancel with the 2 that is there in the numerator. So this 2 cancel. So we will be left with B plus SD multiplied by D. So this becomes B into D plus SD square. So the correct answer is option D in this case. Next 53rd, again quite simple problem. We know that effective stress is given as total stress minus pore water pressure or the neutral stress. So option B is the correct answer. Next, 54th problem. So pile has been given to us whose length is known, cross section is square, and it has been placed in the cohesive soil. Cohesive means clay soil. And unconfined compressive strength is given as 40 kilonewton per meter square. Unit weight is also known. We have to calculate what is the ultimate load carrying capacity of the pile. So let's see how this problem will be solved. So the ultimate load on the pile will be given as 9 times of C into base area plus alpha into C bar multiplied by the surface area of the pile. So C value we need to calculate first. So unconfined compressive strength is given as 40. So we know that C is half of the unconfined compressive strength. So 40 by 2, that is 20, will be the value of cohesion in this case. So here I can substitute the value as 20. Area at the base. So it is a square pile. So the area will be 0.5 into 0.5. The dimension was given as 0.5. So area will be 0.5 into 0.5 plus. Now coming to alpha. So here in problem the value of alpha is not given to us clearly. So here we can assume this value, adhesion factor, to be equal to 1. Then comes C bar. C and C bar will be same because same type of soil is there. So this C bar will be equal to 20. Now surface area. Surface area is given as the perimeter at the bottom multiplied by length. So how much is the perimeter? So for square, perimeter will be 4 into 0.5 and the length of the pile is given as 6. So 4 into 0.5 multiplied by 6. So on solving, this comes out to be 285 kilonewton. So if we go by option B is the correct answer. Next is the vertical excavation is proposed in a cohesive soil and cohesion is known to us. Unit weight is also given. Next problem, a vertical excavation is proposed in a cohesive soil. The value of cohesion is given and the value of unit weight is known to us. We have to tell up till what depth the tension cracks can be seen. So the formula here is that ZC, this is the depth of the tension cracks. This is given as 2 times of cohesion divided by gamma, that is the unit weight, into under root of Ka, that is the coefficient of active earth pressure, and this Ka is given as 1 minus sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi. Now since the soil is given as cohesive soil, that means phi value is 0. So if phi is 0, we can substitute the value. So sin 0 will become 0. So Ka value will come out equal to 1. So numerator we will be having 1, denominator we will be having 1. So Ka value will be 1. So now we can substitute the value here. So Zc is equal to 2 times of C, which is 40, divided by 20 under root of 1. So from here the answer is coming out as 4. So option A is correct over here. Next 56 problem. So they are talking about the truss system here and they are asking what are purlins. So in the roof structure, if I draw the diagram which looks something like this, suppose this is our roof. So here certain elements will be used like this. So these are called as purlins. These are called as purlins. And what is their function? Their main function is to support the roof covering. So whatever roof covering has been provided, it has to be supported by the purlin. Now this topmost part is called as ridge, and here at the bottom this is called as the eaves, EAVES. So these members, these are basically our purlins which are supporting the roof. So you can say that these are the inclined members which are laid from ridge to eaves. So option A is the correct answer for question number 56. Next problem, a structural load is idealized as 100 kilonewton point load at ground level. We have to calculate what is the vertical stress which is developed exactly below the load at a depth of 2 meter. So this question is from geotechnical engineering, where we have to use the equation of Bosensky. So Bosensky theory we will be using and we know the expression, so directly by putting the values we can obtain the answer. So 100 Newton is the kilonewton is the load which is acting. Now we have to tell that at a distance of 2 meter below this, exactly below this, at a distance of 2 meter, if we consider a point, so how much vertical stress will be developed over here. So the formula as per Bosinski equation is says that the vertical stress at any depth is equal to 3 upon 2 pi into q upon z square multiply by 1 upon 1 plus r upon z whole square, and we have to consider the power as 5 by 2 here. So now if we substitute the values, the sigma z is equal to 3 into q, which is given as 100 kilonewton, divided by 2 pi. Z is the depth at which we are calculating the vertical stress. So in the problem it is given as 2 meter, so 2 square multiply by 1 upon 1 plus r upon z. Now what is r? R is basically the radial distance, but here since the point is exactly below the point load, that means here our r value will be 0. So if I substitute r as 0, this entire term will be 0. So 0 upon 2 whole square, and here we are taking power 5 by 2. This was also 2, 5 by 2. So now this entire term will become equal to 1, because 1 by 1 raised to power 5 by 2 will be equal to 1. So we have to solve only this much part. So after calculation, the value of the sigma z comes out to be 11.93 kilonewton per meter square. So correct answer is option C. Next problem is from Geotech. Infinite slope is given to us, whose slope is 30 degree with respect to the ground, and the soil is granular soil, for which the angle of internal friction is also known, that is 36 degree. We have to calculate the factor of safety here. So factor of safety for the granular soil or the cohesionless soil is given as tan phi upon tan beta. So phi value is 36 degree. So tan 36 degree divided by tan 30 degree. The slope is 30. So on solving, the value is 1.258. So the closest option that we have here is option C. So C is the correct answer. Next is 59th problem. They are asking the process of building the new construction underneath an existing structure without disturbing the stability of the system is called. So already a building has been constructed, but we are supporting that building and we are doing certain construction for that. The support mechanism that we are providing, what is that called? So that is basically called as underpinning. So underpinning is basically a support mechanism to strengthen the structures. Next problem is question number 60. Here we have to calculate the distribution factors for the member AB and AD. So if we look the box section which is given in the figure, here AB member is there but AD member is not present. That means there is some typing error. It should have been AC. So let's calculate the distribution factor in this case. So before calculating the distribution factor, first we will calculate the stiffness of the members. So stiffness of member AB I am going to calculate first, and then I am going to calculate the stiffness of AC member. So stiffness of AB member will be calculated by the formula 4EI divided by L. Now why I am using this formula? Because we know that for member AB, my far end will be B joint, which is a rigid joint. So for rigid joint, the stiffness is given as 4EI by L, and L value we know. The AB member total length is how much? 2 meter plus 2 meter, that is 4 meter. So let's substitute the value. So 4EI divided by 4, which is equal to EI. Similarly, I can calculate the stiffness of my AC member. Now in case of AC member, my far end is C joint, which is also rigid. So here again same formula 4EI by L we are going to use. Now here in this case, the value of L is different. What is the value of L? Now the length of the AC is only 2 meter. So substitute 2 over here. So we are going to get the value as 2 EI. Now coming to the distribution factor. So distribution factor for AB we have to calculate. So that will be given as the stiffness of AB divided by the total stiffness of joint A. Now from joint A there are two members, AB and AC. So we have to consider the combined stiffness or the total stiffness at joint A. So at joint A I will be considering KAB as well as KAC. So both will be considered. So now let's substitute the values. So KAB is EI divided by EI plus 2 EI. So on solving, this will be equal to 1 by 3, which is 0.33. Similarly, I can calculate the distribution factor for my AC member. So for AC, the formula will be stiffness of AC divided by the total stiffness at joint A. So at joint A I have two members, so I have to consider again the stiffness of AB and AC together. So now let's substitute the values again. So stiffness of AC was 2 times of EI divided by EI plus 2 EI. So on solving, this becomes 2 by 3, which is our 0.66. So here if we go by the option, so option B is the correct answer for problem number 16. Now the remaining problems we will be discussing in our next video. So I hope by seeing the questions here, you must have understood the level of the exam, and now you are in a position to do a self-analysis where you need to analyze your preparation strategy and the knowledge you currently have. So to improve your preparation strategy and to keep yourself updated with the present level of the competitive exam, stay connected with our YouTube channel. Do subscribe the Sandpoint on Stream. Thank you.